we're going now over to 10th Street, where there were three different authors that we covered. I'm sure countless more that lived on this one section between 5th and 6th Avenue on 10th Street. Beautiful block, really gorgeous houses. And Sinclair Lewis was our first author.
Mm-hmm.
He lived in 37 West 10th Street. And he was the first American to win the Nobel Prize in Literature
Wow.
in 1930. And his whole vibe...
What did he win it for? Do you know?
The Nobel, I think in general, the Nobel Prizes are not, in literature, not necessarily awarded for one book.
Oh, it's...
But
yeah.
when they do their write-up for why, the book that was referenced was called Babbitt.
Okay.
And it actually, Babbitt was turned into a word, which I've never heard it used, but it means a professional man who conforms unthinkingly to prevailing middle class standards.
Say that one more time. A professional man?
Do you need the Cliff Notes version?
Shut up.
A professional man who conforms unthinkingly to prevailing middle class standards.
Yeah, I need the Cliff Note. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So his whole work was critical of American capitalism and materialism in the span of time that was between the two world wars.
Mm.
So,
That sounds like it could still be applicable today.
Yeah. And so his first book was, I think his first book sold like 4 million copies or something.
Wow.
I can't believe I didn't write it down. So any Lewis fans can give me hell in the comments if you want.
Or just write the name of the book.
But the idea was that he was very popular in his time, but his popularity declined as he went. Whereas some of his contemporaries in other genres, like F. Scott Fitzgerald and Hemingway, kind of ended up taking over in terms of popularity as the decades came.
Yeah.
However, he actually had a recent revival due to his 1935 book "It Can Happen Here," which was a dystopian satire about a fascist becoming president.
Oh.
If you might imagine why something like that would become popular in 2016, it was
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought this was interesting. This is an excerpt from his Nobel acceptance speech. In America, most of us, not readers alone, but even writers, are still afraid of any literature which is not a glorification of everything American, a glorification of our faults as well as our virtues. America is the most contradictory, the most depressing, the most stirring of any land in the world today.
Wow.
So it's interesting because that feels resonant to stuff that's going on today.
Totally.
But that was at a time when America was ascendant. It had not achieved its superpower status at that time.
Right.
1930, it was kind of in the midpoint, certainly, and that was just the crest of the Depression. They had no idea how long that was going to last. But
Yeah, that is interesting that the same sentiment can apply almost 100 years later and with a completely different context of where this country is in relation to the rest of the world.
Yeah. So that's Sinclair Lewis. The building associated with it is very nice. As I said, the whole block
whole
is really beautiful. And I'm sure I've already shown it at this point. I don't know what more there is to say about it. Now, just crossing the street over to your right, there are two houses. One I didn't write much about, but I want to call it out because as we were walking down the street, I saw it. It's Emma Lazarus.
Mm-hmm.
Emma Lazarus, very famous for writing the poem that is on the Statue of Liberty.
What does it say? Give us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses.
Yes, a little more.
I don't remember how to end.
Yearning to breathe free.
Oh. Did I get the beginning?
Give us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm kind of impressed with my memory.
Good job.
Thank you.
So there's a lot more to her history as an activist as well as a writer, but there's a plaque on 18 10th Street that signifies that she lived there. And then just 2 houses down, Mark Twain.
Oh.
Yes, he lived at that house from 1900 to 1901.
Oh,
so
just 1 year.
Earlier.
Like a classic New York move.
Well, this was, I think.
Sign a 1-year lease and move on.
Well, he only stayed there for that length of time because he was such a celebrity that people wouldn't stop bothering him.
Oh,
Yeah.
Also feels fitting for that neighborhood.
Yeah. And
wow.
So he
was already really well known when he moved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And this house, in addition to having this Mark Twain backstory, is actually known for being a haunted house.
Oh.
It's nicknamed the House of Death.
Oh, what? Why?
Many people have died there. There are believed to be over 22 ghosts in this home.
What?
Yes. And
all separate, did they know each other or
No. They didn't know each other. I mean, I'm presuming.
Were they all old? Were they
I don't know. There isn't any. I didn't do any research on the 22. Again, this could have been a whole episode.
Maybe one day.
There's one particularly tragic one that happened fairly recently.
Oh.
Where this man, was an attorney, Joel Steinberg, he beat his adopted daughter to death.
What?
Yeah, and she was 6 years old. Yeah.
Oh God.
So that's when the House of Death name really stuck. Yeah. And
when was that?
That was in this century.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah. And so,
damn.
As I said, it's known for being inhabited by ghosts.
Yeah.
And somehow, Mark Twain's ghost itself has been observed there, even though he was there for only 1 year.
Oh, interesting. I mean, I don't think there's a lot that we're still researching and hypothesizing about. I don't think we have the whole ghost thing figured out yet.
Oh, you don't think so? Okay.
Just how they work and how they spread and everything.
Right.
We're learning new things every day.
Somebody, a woman came into their living room and saw a man dressed in all white with crazy wild hair. And she asked who he was. And the ghost replied, "My name is Clemens. And I got problems here I gotta solve."
Whoa. The paparazzi.
Maybe. Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's that house.
Wow. Do they give does someone live there now?
People live there as
Why?
far as I can tell.
They shouldn't.
Yeah.